Hi everyone, so this is our real first session for our whole class, and usually this was Monday and Wednesday class when it was a synchronous session. So on Mondays I lectured based on our textbook, and on Wednesdays we met for sprout sessions. So I'm going to explain what the sprout sessions are going to be about in the next video. So right now is chapter 1, the scale and scope of social media. So I'm going to talk about what is social media and what are the factors that we need to consider when we manage social media accounts for your businesses? Okay, so do you guys have any social media accounts among these icons? So what is your favorite social media platform and why is it? Let's think about that as an opening question. For me, I have Instagram, I have Snapchat, Facebook, LinkedIn, and what else? Twitter. I was once in Reddit, especially for the thread called skincare addiction, but not right now. So for me, Instagram has been the main platform for me to communicate with my friends, looking at the influencers' pages. But it used to be Facebook for me about a decade ago. So yeah, I want to know what is your favorite social media platform and why is that? So let's make this as our discussion question for chapter 1. So I'll make a thread under Canvas discussion so you can just freely upload your videos or just upload as a threaded reply. Okay, so social media has been available and has been possible all because of interactive computer-mediated technologies. So it is very two-way communicative platforms. And one of the rising, and already everyone must know, Wikipedia has every characteristics of what made social media possible. So Wikipedia is very user-centric, so it allows us to modify anything that we want to change for anyone's Wikipedia page. So we have all the control. Users didn't used to have control in traditional media when television, radio, magazine were the main dissemination tool for information sharing and seeking. But nowadays, we also have some controllability because we are consuming a lot of our news on social media. So we have more control, more choices, more flexibility of what we want and what we need to hear for our news. And also, social media has made it very possible because of the human-centric marketing. So brands are treating us like they're our friends. Lots of brands on Instagram is doing this really well. So they just pop up in our Instagram story feed and act like they're our friends. Like, hey Hyoyeon, this is Valentine's Day, this is our deal. And show me like special outfits, sweaters, underwear, roses, anything Valentine's Day related products. So these two are the characteristics how social media rose in our day-to-day experiences. So this is one of the examples of how social media marketing is really looking like in real life. So Wendy's is one of the best examples of how they do the humor approach. So look at this. Look who dropped by to see what spicy nuggets were supposed to taste like. And do you know him? He's from Burger King. So this guy is like mascot of Burger King. I think I saw him from their spicy chicken sandwich commercial. Roses are red, violets are blue, patties are round. So he looks very shocked that when this spicy nugget is very delicious. Also, look at this. Whose truck is this? Do you recognize this sign? It's McDonald's, right? And Wendy's saying, is it a garbage truck? Wendy's, what would you call this? So it's supposed to be funny, and this is how you do, one of the approaches how you do the social media marketing. It's really quick, something users might appreciate, something funny, something that can retain in us for a pretty long time because we see so many messages in a very short amount of time. All right, so Pew Research Center from 2018 found out that 2/3 of adults in the US, so it's almost 70%, got their news from social media channels like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I also follow NYT account on Instagram, and that's how I consume my news these days. I don't actually go to their website and read their news. So yeah, it's really interesting how things quickly changed for our news consumption, right? Also, increasing reliance on social media has become concern as well. And you'll see, if you can go to this link, it's a short video from Love Islands. It's one of British reality show, and they're talking about how they think about Brexit and what kind of effect Brexit is going to give to English citizens. So yeah, because of the rise of social media, and we are so heavily dependent on news consumption on social media, there are a lot of fake news and disinformation, misinformation on social media, and we need to build more literacy to discern if they're real or not. But that kind of education didn't really happen when social media grew so much. So that's one of my concerns, and that's why we are here to learn how to analyze the data on social media so we can more proficiently analyze what you see on social media. Moving on. So, social proof has also become the judge of how successful each article can be measured. So, if you see Twitter, you'll see how many times people retweeted, how many times people liked it, how many people shared it to their own feed. You can also do this on Instagram. It's a little bit trickier, but you can also share others' posts to your timeline on Instagram. Same thing for Facebook. So those indicators are examples of social proof. So we want better social proof when we are interactive with our friends on social media. This is why employment in the US newsroom has dropped 25% in the last decade, because simply we don't read news anymore from newsrooms, right? And one of the examples to explain this phenomena will be WikiLeaks. So please go to this link and find out what are the 6 WikiLeaks most memorable revelations. And at the end of each chapter, I'm going to explain theoretical approaches that can be related to each chapter. So for chapter 1, it is Social Capital Theory by Pierre Bourdieu. And I will ask you for your final paper and also for your final project proposal. I want to see some connection that you make from theories that we learned each chapter and your own Sprout project. So yeah, don't sleep on these theories, but think about how you can actually apply this theory to your own project. So now let's talk about social capital theory. Capital is not just simply economic concept, but it also involves every meaning around us. Think about Chick-fil-A. I always use this example in my class because I studied in Georgia for 6 years. So Chick-fil-A has become one of the most prominent brand on my brain. So think about Chick-fil-A. Their logo is red sign. They have really warm hospitality when you walk in there, right? So think about if they used very cold, cool-toned color of logo. Would you feel the same when you walk in there? Would you feel the same if they're wearing complete navy or black outfit, right? So that also involves social capital theory. So capital here in that example will be the color of logo, what kind of symbol Chick-fil-A has. So we all share that commonality when we think about the red and when we think about South, when we think about their menus, right? So it is a broad concept recognizing the power of an individual to exert influence on a group or individual to mobilize resources. So think about this as me as an individual living in Georgia for 6 years, and I felt their power of social capital, that their factor of social capital as Southern hospitality, their color of logo, and also all of their services. They had huge influence on me living there in Georgia. So the example could be your conversation with your peers. Where's the most delicious pizza place in Newport? Or, in a bigger sense, before the presidential election, there could be door-to-door conversations for the candidate. And sharing these resources is all the examples of social capital. You're not just sharing conversation, but you're sharing capital between your friends, between the candidate and you. So it also involves social influence as well. So have you ever felt any kind of peer pressure when you're deciding what to have? I always feel this whenever we're in a group lunch or group dinner. I usually really enjoy leading the group, especially for the food item. So I like to decide what to eat. But imagine you go to a Chinese restaurant, and if you are there with four other friends and they all order same menu, would you feel comfortable ordering what you originally wanted? Or would you just order what everyone else has ordered? Right? So that's an example of social influence. In that way, you are also sharing social capital with your friends. So look at this diagram here. To decide the social capital, these are the factors that we need to consider. Sense of belonging in a certain community. Like me, till 2020, I was Korean girl living in Georgia. So going to Chick-fil-A was kind of a special thing for me. Think about diversity. Think about values, norms, outlook in life, citizen power, proactivity, participation, feelings of trust. So would you feel comfortable sharing your own example in the discussion board on Canvas about the example of social capital? It could be your own community. It could be in Newport. Right now, I have no sense where everyone is located in this semester. So yeah, bring your own example. What kind of social capital that you have experienced lately? So this is to introduce our next sessions, so Sprout sessions. So here we are meeting to analyze the social media data, and we call it big data here. So big data is not just 500 sample survey or 100 sample experimental data. We are talking about more than 10,000 responses on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and with the help of Sprout, we are able to gather the data, and I'm going to explain how to analyze those data throughout the semester. So yeah, we are dealing with big data here. And isn't it so shocking? By 2013, 90% of all of the world's data was created in the previous 2 years. And 80% of the data was content created from social media. So we are depending a lot on information that's available on social media. This is how long it'll take media to reach 50 million users. If it's a telephone, it takes 75 years. If it's radio, it takes 38 years. If it's YouTube, it only takes 10 months. If it's Twitter, it only takes 9 months. Angry Birds, do you guys remember this game? It only takes 35 days. And Pokemon Go, which was even more popular than Angry Birds, it only can take 19 days. So think about this huge gap between the traditional media and social media and how actually kind of scary it is to have this much influence in this short amount of time. So here I'm going to explain some important terminologies that we're going to use throughout the semester. First of all, we need to be familiar with a term called referral traffic. So it means the number of website visits of people clicking on a hyperlink from another website. So if you're on Instagram, you must have an experience seeing this kind of ads on your Instagram story feeds. So if you see this earring ad on the right, you can just click here and they will guide you to their own official website or Instagram page, right? So that's the example of referral traffic. And with the help of Google Analytics, which you will all gain throughout this semester, you will experience and also you will learn to analyze how many referral traffic was there for this website. So it sends potential customers to brand websites. So having more referral links, meaning that you have higher rank in your search engines. So your result will come up a little bit upper than your competitors. So I want to ask you, how do you usually go to your brand pages, Instagram ads, Facebook ads? Do you search them? Or have you ever bought anything from these ads? You can also let me know about this answer in your Canvas discussion board. I will just create a specific question board on our discussion board on Canvas for chapter 1. And then the next term I want to introduce is E1, electronic word of mouth. Can you guys guess what restaurant this is on the right? This person, Madison, only gave us 3 stars in July of last year. The whole experience was okay. It's definitely a convenient brunch option if you're staying nearby. It was about a 45-minute wait, which was understandable for a Sunday, but you have to stay within earshot of the hostess. This means you're stuck with the limited seatings. Play rock, paper, scissors with your family. Being able to just get a text would be better. So she didn't really have a great experience in this restaurant. This was one of the brunch restaurants in Newport, and I searched on Yelp. So this is the example of EWOM, electronic word of mouth. So if you see this and if you want to have a brunch on Sunday with your family, especially with your kids, maybe you don't want to go here because her waiting experience was not really great. And EWOM has a direct relationship with loyalty intentions. So if you keep building this trust with your potential customers, then your other customers who are like us, who's just searching online, will want to go here more often. It's one of the most effective business tools on social media, so that is why they take really good care on Yelp, TripAdvisors, or what else? OpenTable nowadays. To end this chapter, I want to explain phenomena of maturing of social media in the United States. So 70% of adults use social networking sites. But for the first time, this number did not really grow from the year of 2018 to 2019. And there are some research going on. Also, I'm doing it on my own as well. It's called social media fatigue. So a lot of us are just feeling really fatigued using Instagram or Facebook and seeing very similar posts every day. So that's the phenomena of nowadays. So we are in, if this was a graph, it was going on and on and on, up and up and up from end of 2000s till end of 2010s. But right now we are in the maturing stage. So who knows how this will be breakthrough with some new platforms like TikTok. But I also don't see that happening because this also became more fatigue because Instagram is now having tools like Reels and stories like Snapchat. So I see a lot of pattern that these different platforms are using the same way of communication, and that's the main reason why we feel so fatigued. So maturing of social media use as total growth has slowed in certain countries, especially here in the United States. So more pressure on individual platforms to compete for existing users instead of relying on new users for growth. So that is why they want to introduce us more of Instagram market and advertising because they want to retain us. So if you see this picture on the right, you'll see the war of stories between Instagram and Snapchat. I don't know if you guys have both of them, at least one of them. I have both of them, but I don't really have a lot of friends on Snapchat. It's just really close 3 friends on Snapchat. So usually it's for Instagram for me to check my friends' stories. But let's think about this phenomena. Why other social media platform kind of copy the other social media platforms' successful form of interaction. So for instance, Instagram is following Snapchat stories, and they also follow TikTok video platform, like they introduced Reels last year. So yeah, many thought Snapchat would lose a lot of users when Instagram added Snapchat-like features like stories. Instagram did grow because of the stories, but also Snapchat remained consistent with their users. So they must have something special about Snapchat. People may add new social media platforms, but also it's known that they are not really deleting their existing ones. So why do you think we're not deleting the existing ones? And which story feature do you prefer? I personally think it's all based on maybe our laziness, or if you are communicating with a certain group of friends only on this platform, not on the other platform, and that could be why you have to keep your Snapchat even though Instagram now has stories. I want to know what you think about this as well. This is some other terminologies I wanted to introduce in chapter 1, MAUs and DAUs. MAU is monthly active users, so it means the total number of unique people who have interacted with an app or website in a month. And same thing is daily active user, meaning same thing in a day. So if you see Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter's data, you'll see, oh, I see Snapchat has so many monthly active users, daily active users as well. Overall daily engagement rate is 66.3%. And Gen Z's engagement rate is surprisingly lower than YouTube or Instagram. So Gen Z is very interested in YouTube and Instagram, and I wish we had a data for TikTok as well here. So obviously for Facebook, Gen Z is not using this anymore, so it's only 34%. So we'll be able to get this data on our own, MAUs and DAUs using Sprout. So we can talk about this a little later with our own data. So we just talked about the maturing of social media in the United States, right? So another sign of maturing social media is that there is growth in paid social media, meaning that you have to pay the influencers to show your brand product placement, their services. They sometimes use a hashtag called SP, sponsorship. Social media used to be thought of as free marketing, but now we have to pay them. So that's a sign that social media is actually maturing. It's not growing anymore. It's not going anywhere. So adding social channels and using paid social to target the right audiences at the right time in the right social platforms. We'll talk more about this in our Sprout sessions, but it's really important to choose the right influencer. And I want to ask you, who is your favorite influencer? By introducing mine. My favorite influencer is called Jen Im. She is also a Korean American girl. I think she lives in like LA area. I've watched her since I was in college, so she was in college at that time as well. I think she's a little bit older than me, but now like she's married, have a baby and a puppy. So I see like her growth as a person, but she also has a lot of partnership in her Instagram feed as well. So this is a great example. Hashtag SkinCeuticals partner is something FTC already regulated on us. So if you are getting partnership, and especially when you're paid, you have to have this handle on IG called paid partnership, and you have to use this kind of hashtag. So social media change leads to an opportunity. So the shift to a user-centric model, we talked about how social media became really user-centric compared to the traditional media, has a huge opportunity for organizations that have struggled in the old days. Expensive publisher-centric mass media model. So now we don't have to worry about sending press releases to journalists. And we don't have to worry, if they're going to announce our event or not, if they're going to announce our product or not. Because we can just do it on our own in our in-house channels, right? So PR practitioners, ad practitioners, they have a lot more controllability nowadays because of social media platform. So let's think about EWAM. We talked about this term, right? EWAM delivers nearly twice as much customer acquisition compared to traditional marketing. And this increased brand exposure and brand engagement with social media users help to make consumers more responsive to timely marketing actions. So it's important for us to think about more interactive and more of two-way communicative strategies that we will talk throughout the semester. Another terms I wanted to introduce is broadcasting versus narrowcasting. So we all know what broadcasting is, right? We are disseminating message to general public, so bigger public. That's why it's called broadcasting. But narrowcasting is the opposite way. You're only disseminating this message to a very marginalized group of people, but it is worthy because of the era of social media. So it is a specialized message delivered to a small number of people, small group. Customers who are most likely to become your best customers, who will purchase from you more frequently and be most loyal, will be the target audience for your narrowcasting. So narrowcasting is to be shared in social media. So if you think about influencers live video on Instagram, and if they are having a special partnership with a certain brand, and think about their followers watching that live video, and they're most likely to buy them if they really like that influencer and if they have trust in them, right? So it can be identifying, targeting more niche audiences in social media. Consider audience size in crafting messages. So your audience size in this sense doesn't have to be big. When the brand responds and wants to offer genuine help, the conversation often moves to other focus in DM or messaging. So if you just DM the brand pages, you'll get very personable messages nowadays, like as if you're talking to your friend. Once a relationship is formed, the brand may ask the consumer for permission to share the post on a broader scale by republishing it on their brand account. So this is moving from narrowcasting to slightly broadcasting. So when you actually have spent their product or service and you want to share your experience, brand can reach out to you to your DM and ask you, oh, can I repost and share your post and publish it in our own account? But if you have time, please go to this link. I included some interesting and also scary example of Instagram DM scam, which I also experienced. Sometimes they give you discount codes, but they also make you buy their products first to use those discount codes. So it's quite unethical. But if we have built the literacy throughout this course, you won't experience that. Okay, so theoretically speaking, we talked about the social capital theory before. Now we're talking about the interactive and two-way communication. We're gonna have more time to talk about the two-way communication in the Sprout sessions too, but usually in traditional media, the communication was very one-way. So think about the message was disseminated by the broadcasting system or by billboard ad, by magazine, and us, the targeted audiences, were just the recipients of the message. So we didn't really have controllability how to design these messages, how to make these messages more clear, right? So we're moving to two-way communication from one-way communication. So let's think about, did the brand respond or not respond? So if they responded on your DM or any other way, like email, that'll be the example of two-way communication. But if they didn't respond, if they're very authoritative, it's hard to reach out to them, it could be the one-way communication. Are you offered multiple ways to communicate with company that are convenient for you? So do you have a lot of control as a user? How long did it take for them to respond? So let's consider the time they took. Reflect on your own experiences communicating with a brand on social media. And I would love to hear your own experiences here as well. Alright, so that's the end of chapter 1, and I'll create the discussion thread on our Canvas discussions. So please upload your short videos, and if you have any trouble reaching out to me or uploading your media, just email me, okay? Thank you so much, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye!